Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Mark Moses Show. As we're always broadcasting from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today. Yes, it's Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Now joining me right now here for Thursday is one of my great friends in the industry there in North Carolina. Does a great job with, I can't even keep up with the publications. He's all over the place. He will explain it better than I can. He is Brett Friedlander. We got much to discuss. Brett, how you doing today?
I am doing great. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and we get to see each other face to face here.
That is correct. All right, before we get into it, who do you work for? We got to know this, man.
Okay, my semi-main gig is hoopshq.com. It's the website started by Seth Davis. Basically, not basically, but it is 100% dedicated to college basketball. And then I also work for a website called Straight Up Sports. It's based in the upstate of South Carolina, run by a friend of mine, longtime friend named Mark Sturgis. And I write a once a week piece about ACC, and it's fun to stay in it. I retired from the full-time gig back in June, but this is good because I get to do things on my own terms now.
That is very nice, and congratulations on that
Thank
last
you.
June. All right, before we get to basketball, even though you just said that, I got to get your thoughts on Lou Holtz. As a guy that's been around college sports a long time, what were your thoughts when you heard that news yesterday?
Sad, but expecting it because he went into hospice about 2 weeks ago. Lou coached at my alma mater, South Carolina, and helped restore that program. He got off to a rough start, but he got that program headed back in the right direction. And Steve Spurrier took over after that and took it to its highest level ever. But the thing I remember most about Holtz is when he coached at Notre Dame. I was working in Annapolis, Maryland at the time, and Navy used to have a press conference every Tuesday where the head coach, whether it be Gary Tranquil or George Chomp or whoever was the coach at the time, would do his little shtick and preview the next week's game. But they'd always call the opposing coach on a voice box there, the conference call thing. And my favorite thing was Navy had lost to Notre Dame maybe about 23, 24 years in a row. And somebody asked Holtz how he gets his team up for playing that game since they've always beaten Navy. And Holtz, I'll never forget it. He says, "We play Michigan. We play Southern Cal." He says, "They play Iwo Jima. They play Leyte Gulf." And it's like, yeah, okay, Lou, we get it. They're the Navy, but they're not bringing tanks and aircraft carriers onto the football field. But he was just so entertaining, and he was such a good coach and an incredible motivator. It's a shame because it's a very, very, very glorious part of college football history that is, another piece of it is gone.
Is he one of the all-time characters in the sport?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and look at the places he's won at, right? NC State, Minnesota, Arkansas. Didn't work out with the New York Jets, but I think he realized it quickly, went back to college and stayed there. And that's why he was so entertaining on and so popular on ESPN at the end of his career. Dr. Lou, right? What he said didn't always make sense. But boy, it was fun to listen to.
It reminds me in radio, the idea of, that top 40 voice, the Casey Kasem, then you had Ryan Seacrest. Not everyone can be that. You need different, people impersonate how I talk all the time. I get it because it's a character after a while. You need the characters. The other one I want to tell you is growing up in Chicago, where I had so many family, friends, neighbors, just so many people love Notre Dame, right? Because it's right there.
Right.
So when I was growing up and he was the coach, if they lost a game, that was a big deal. When Notre Dame lost, you couldn't believe it. We're Notre Dame. How could we lose? And then I always remember being in high school when Bob Davie took over, and that was a disaster. Yeah. And they're like, why did we fire Lou Holtz? And I always think about those things.
And, Lou was the guy there during the convicts versus Catholics whole fiasco. And he, but see, he was perfect for that because he played into all that and made it even more of a thing.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So again, rest in peace. I think of him, Spurrier, Bobby Bowden, all these, I know
You don't
even
do that anymore.
you don't, look, I know it's changed with the history. Joe Paterno used to be a big name. Like that used to be a
Mhm.
big thing when we
Yep.
were growing up. And then it's not anymore. Let's go to college basketball here with Brett Friedlander then. All right. The team you cover, the one you've done it for a long time, the Duke Blue Devils, right in your backyard.
Yep.
John Shire, I've had you on in our career when you were talking about John Shire, the player helping Duke win the title.
Thanks for making me feel even older than I am.
Look, I heard the other day Nolan Smith is coaching Tennessee. Is it State, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember when he played for Duke. So,
well, he was in the same backcourt with Shire.
No, that's right.
They won a national championship, 2010.
Shire. So, Coach K leaves, Shire takes over. It's like they haven't missed a beat. They're just winning and win. What are your thoughts on the job he's done there?
Well, he's done a great job. First of all, I think that, Kay got a lot of heat for his victory tour, for basically staying that last year. But that last year was on the job training for John Shire. John Shire was basically coaching that team. And, I think that it's the reason he was ready to step in right away, as opposed to North Carolina, where Hubert Davis just kind of got thrown into that without any real, foresight. And it took him a couple of years. Now he is finally this year, I think, kind of learned from the mistakes that he made. Yeah, he got to the Final Four his first year, but it took a lot of things to happen. But Hubert has made some mistakes along the way, especially in roster construction. And this year's team is really the culmination of all the lessons that he's learned. But Shire didn't have to go through that because he had that season where he had the greatest coach of all time standing right next to him, basically showing him everything. And he's, like you said, picked it up and just kept that thing rolling. The thing that I really like about this year's team is that, yes, they've got a generational talent in Cam Boozer, like they did last year with Cooper Flagg. And they've got a whole roster full of McDonald's All-Americans. But this is a totally different team. It's not like Shire said, okay, let's roll the ball out and let's just play the same way. He realized that this was a bigger, more physical team, and he devised a system where they don't run up and down the court like they did last year. They play a slower tempo. They go inside. It's a very physical, gritty team, and they defend better than anybody in the country. They're number one right now in Ken Palm's defensive efficiency. And so they play a totally different style than last year's team. And I think that, to be honest with you, this team might be better prepared for the postseason because of it.
That win against Michigan, is that the best win of anybody in college basketball this year?
Yes, absolutely. And, you bring up that Michigan game. Last year, Shire tried to do the same thing. He scheduled a late February non-conference game against Illinois, which for most of the season was one of the best teams in the country. But when they got them at Madison Square Garden, Illinois' two best players were hurt. Duke just kind of steamrolled that game. And then they went and they finished out the schedule against a North Carolina team that barely scraped into the tournament. And then Cooper Flagg got hurt in the ACC tournament. I don't think that they were really, really in a mindset at that NCAA tournament where they were at their best. I think they kind of got set back a little bit. Now you're playing that same non-conference game, and this time they draw Michigan, which is number one in the country. And again, defensive-wise, they won that game on defense and on the glass. Michigan scores 1,000,000 points, and I think they were held to their lowest point total of the season against Duke. And that's what wins in the postseason. But more than that, now Duke is really battle-tested. They played Michigan in a Final Four quality game on a neutral site. Then they come home and they play the second best team in the ACC, Virginia, and, a full-strength Virginia, and just run them out of the gym. And now they get a UNC team on Saturday that beat them. And so I think that this is not only a more physical, more, postseason kind of prepared team. I think they're going to be at the top of their game, and it's going to be really kind of fun to see how far they can get, because I think this team's got a great shot at winning it all.
Okay. There's no wrong answers here. Is it a down year for the ACC overall? Even though you have all these ranked teams, I don't think it's that good. How about you?
Oh, I think it is not a down year. I listen, compared to the last 2 years, this is like the fact that they're talking about 8 teams in the tournament. Last year they got 4, and John Rothstein was talking about how they were a 2-bid league. So yes, Duke is head and shoulders above everybody, but I think that they've got legitimate, elite teams in UNC, in Virginia, and Miami.
Yeah.
And then you've got another tier that I think that, given the right draw and given, a good health, I think you could see an NC State or an SMU or I'm leaving somebody out, but get to the second week of the tournament, win a couple of games. So yeah, I think that this is a much better year. Is it a vintage year for the ACC? No, because you basically have that one team that has really set itself apart. But I think this is a much better ACC than it's been since COVID.
It's funny because I cover UCF. I'm watching so much Big 12 basketball where everyone's just killing each other every night. It's just so I kind of see how difficult it is. And then I look at the ACC and I'm not as sure. Maybe it's because I look at it. How many teams in the ACC can make a run to the Final Four? I feel like Duke's the only team that has a legitimate shot. Is that okay if I feel that way?
I think that Carolina's a weird team. First of all, Caleb Wilson has to come back and be healthy. And I will be shocked if he is not in the lineup Saturday against Duke. And if he doesn't, he should be back by the ACC tournament. But assuming that he's back, Carolina is the kind of team that could get to the Final Four, but it could also lose to a 12 seed in the first round of the tournament because they have been really great and they have been really kind of sometimes in the same game. They played Syracuse back in early February at the Dean Dome, led by 32 points with 12 minutes to go. Syracuse got it down to single digits before Carolina ended up winning by, I want to say, 8 or 10. So, they have a tendency to take their foot off the accelerator, but when they are in sync and they are playing at their best, they're really good. And they beat Duke and they beat legit fair and square. I mean, there was no flukes there. And then the other thing too about Virginia is that Virginia is extremely big inside. They rebound and they can get to the rim as well as anybody I've seen this year. The problem is they are a very, very streaky shooting team. And so you really can't count on them, which is why making a long run is definitely a long shot for them. But they've got the pieces, and Ryan Odom can coach his behind off. And they've got the pieces to be able to make that kind of run, although I think that would take a little bit of bracket luck, I think.
I'm happy you brought him up. I think he's the coach of the year in college basketball. From the standpoint, Tony Bennett, who's now Hall of Fame level there in Charlottesville.
Named the court after him last week.
Yeah, he left, and a lot of Jim Larinaga did the same thing. All these coaches, I'm out. I'm out. Goodbye, and just left the program. They didn't know what they were going to do. He comes in, they don't miss a beat. Just like John Shire. I think it's an incredible story that you just show up and you're a top 15 team.
Yeah, and you know what? Who else really deserves a lot of attention and a lot of credit is Jay Lucas down at Miami. That was a team that won 7 games last year. 7 games. Larinaga left in December because he said, forget this. They are 23-6. They're going to be maybe a 6 or 7 seed. That is just incredible. And to be honest with you, that is a big reason why the ACC is making a rebound, why it is coming back. It's not back yet, but it's on its way back. Why? Because now you've got coaches like Ryan Odom, like Pat Kelsey, like Jay Lucas, like John Shire, like Andy Enfield, like Mark Madsen. You have upgraded, you lost all those Hall of Famers, and there was a void there. But you can start to see that these teams are now starting to maybe upgrade their coaching again, and that void is now shortening. So I think the coaching, and also another thing about the ACC is that you've seen Virginia Tech, Clemson, Miami, NC State have all increased their basketball budgets. And listen, you could be John Wooden, you could be Mike Krzyzewski, but if you've got 1- and 2-star players, you're going to have 1- and 2-star results. So they're able to afford better players off the transfer portal, and as freshmen. They've got better coaching, and I think that it's a combination of things why the ACC is having a good year.
You know what, though? This is like Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Right now, I'd take my Florida Gators over all those teams. They are killing people.
Hey, listen, I liked them last year. I just love the chemistry that he builds down there. They just have an attitude, and hey, listen, I love them getting up by about 20 because I like seeing guys who are 7'9" come in and dunk without leaving the floor. I ran into him at the Final Four last year in the hallway, and it's like I'm standing there looking at a guy who was 6'9" standing next to him, who looked like he was a point guard. It was ridiculous.
I remember the time I saw Taco Fall play basketball at UCF. And I couldn't believe it until I saw that kid in Gainesville.
Taco Fall, who had a layup to beat Duke and knocked Zion Williamson and Duke out of the NCAA tournament in the second round and missed it.
I'm still angry about that game. And it's crazy because it's Johnny Dawkins who played at Duke. It's crazy. All right.
Yep.
Let's end with this for fun. For college football with the ACC, I asked this to everyone, so you're up. The Miami Hurricanes are going nonstop with transfer portal quarterbacks. It'll be a third straight year. Will they ever recruit a high school kid to play at quarterback for them ever again?
Well, first of all, the whole intrigue behind the Darian Mensah situation is fascinating because he came to Duke. He signed a 2-year deal with Duke and then said, yeah, I had a good year. I'm crumpling that thing up, throwing it away and going for where they're going to pay me even more. And then, the courts got involved and finally I think they settled. But I don't think they're ever going to. Under the current, landscape, why would you? If you've got the money to go out and and get an elite free agent quarterback every year, preferably one with more than 1 year eligibility, but if you could do it every year, why? Because if you bring in a freshman, okay, if you recruit a freshman, even if he doesn't start, you bring in he's going to say, you know what, I didn't start right away. I'm entering the transfer portal, and so you could develop somebody basically for somebody else. So why don't you use everybody else as your farm team and, throw a lot of cash around, have somebody else develop a quarterback and bring him in. Listen, if you can afford it, I'm all for it. And let me just tell you, they've got a good one. I mean, he doesn't have Mensah does not have the hype that a Cam Ward or Carson Beck did. But this kid's got a cannon. He's got a lot stronger arm than Carson Beck. Now, I don't know that he makes as good a decisions. Sometimes, he's a gunslinger, more like Cam Ward than Beck. But this kid's got mobility. He's just kind of got that panache, and he's going to fit in really well there.
If he doesn't beat Virginia in the ACC title game, I don't think Miami's in the playoff. I'm not kidding.
I don't think so either. No, because basically the winner of that game is going to be in the playoff, and that's it.
I think Virginia would have been in the playoff.
I think so too, yeah.
And Miami would. So they're like, you know what? Just go get that guy. That's what we'll do. That's what it's going to be. Brett, how can we check out your stuff online?
You can check it out at hoopshq.com or straightupsports.com. I would love to tell you that I'm on X, but right now I am suspended because somebody hijacked my account and I'm having trouble getting ownership back of it. When I do, it will be at BFriedACC. That's BFRIED ACC. And I am on Facebook too.
I will still be your friend if you're not on Twitter. Okay.
Thank
Brett, thanks for your help. Have a great day and come back on to preview the tournament with me. All right.
Anytime, Mark. Always for you.